Your kitchen will be the last room you typically do in your house. So just as we've done the bathroom, if you have a lot of debris on the floor, you do want to vacuum it up somewhat. You don't need to worry about getting everything. You just get up the major parts of it, which I've already done. So there is still some things left on the floor, and I will get some things on the floor as I clean. But once again, you want to make sure that the water doesn't commingle with debris, because then it makes it difficult to pick up. And as we do with anything else, we work top to bottom, left to right. And in this situation, I will be starting with the refrigerator over there. And as we've talked about before, with the color-coded cloths, what we use in the kitchen is going to be blue. So I'm going to go ahead and get this wet in the sink. And I'm going to rinse it out. Now this could be an instance where you can do the OxyPro two ways. You can spray it directly onto the appliance, or you can spray it onto your cloth. It just depends on what your needs are. In this instance, I'm going to spray it directly onto the cloth. A lot of times you'll have refrigerators that have magnets or things on them. This one doesn't have too many, so it's okay to go ahead and remove all these things off. It just makes your job easier to clean. Remember, you want to be aware of what's above too. So if you can reach it, you want to go ahead and get the tops of the cabinets first, and the top of the refrigerator also. If you've done the top of the refrigerator quite often, it will be dusty, so I would go back and rinse. The red is good for the bathrooms, but it's also good for a degreaser, and that's what you'll find quite often in the kitchen is a lot of grease. I like to also, as I take the magnets off, to kind of keep them the way that they are on the refrigerator. That's kind of how I've laid them out here. This was down on the bottom, so I'm going to separate that here. And in this instance, like I said before, I'm just going to spray on, because it's just going to help get any oils off. So I'm going to want to make sure, get all those areas that little hands like to go. You're going to want to open up the freezer, making sure you get under here. You're not going to go inside the freezer, but at this point you want to get the top section here also. Get any crevices. And look, since the refrigerator's open, there's no harm in just wiping this off. You see it, just go ahead and wipe it off. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go ahead and flip my cloth over, give me a new cleaning surface. And wipe this all down. Making sure we get in here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to open it up, making sure I get the size of the doors. And I cleaned all of it. I'm going to go ahead and open this and give myself a new working surface. But I'm going to go back and give special attention to the handles. I'm going to want to make sure I get all around here. Really getting the handles well. And in this area here. Now, if this is stainless steel, at this point I would come by with my polishing cloth, and I would do a 1-2 is what I call it. I would just lightly wipe it off again and lightly go back over it with my polishing cloth if that was stainless steel. It's all clean, but I'm just making sure it has a good shine. Once again, you always want to step back, look at your work, and see that it looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and go over here, rinse off my cloth. Leave in the sink. Go ahead and return my magnets to where they were on the refrigerator. It's pretty close. not be exactly how they had it. Close enough. Remember, top to bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and do my cabinets first. So I'm going to spray a little bit of product on my cloth. And here are the areas, especially in these crevices, around the handles, especially where dirt likes to accumulate. You might want to give those areas special attention. You can also, like I said before, just give it a touch. It's pretty evident here because these cabinets are white. And I'm going to do all the cabinets. Still working my way around. I don't want to stop in the middle of what I'm doing because then sometimes you can forget where you left off. So I know my top's done. So I'm going to go back here, give myself another rinse, and go back over to my starting point, which is the left here. Sometimes you will have it to where people have quite a bit on their shelving or countertops, sometimes they don't. So in this case, since there is quite a bit, I'm going to remove it to the other surface just to make your job easier. Keeping it as close in order so I don't forget the way it is here. So I've given myself a little bit of room, so now what I can do is I can just move this over. Toasters, you want to make sure you pull them out. You want to unplug them. Quite a bit, toasters will have a reservoir of where the toast crumbs go. You can come to the sink, you can get some of it out, or you can try to find the reservoir, which looks like it's right here. Go ahead and open that up. Make sure that's out. Put that back in. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and wipe off my counters. Now, there's stuff on the counter, so I'm going to want to go ahead and get it off first. And this is where someone cut the floor, but go ahead and put it in the sink. Now I'm going to open up my surface again, give myself a little bit of spray. Look, we're already here, why wouldn't we do it? So you're going to want to take your cloth, just give it a quick wipe down, especially around the outlets. Don't electrocute yourself. And then you're going to want to get here where the backsplashes and really wipe it down. What's great is that you can use this and then go over with your polishing cloth. Now if it's on granite, you just want to use a little bit of the, let's pretend this is granite. So all you're going to want to use is this with a little bit of soap, organic soap, if this was granite. So now that I've cleaned this off, I'm going to come back over here with my polishing cloth, dry it off. It's looking pretty good. So then I'm going to take my cloth and I'm going to wipe off. I'm going to clean off my toaster. What's great about these polishing cloths, they work really well on stainless steel. I'm just going to wipe that all up, making sure I get the handles. Getting all around here. I'm going to take this back, put it in position. I'm going to plug it back up. You want to leave things the way that the customers had them as much as possible. Put it into place, and then I'm just going to do a final wipe. As you can see, it's nice and shiny and clean. All those breadcrumbs are gone. We've already cleaned this countertop off. So that's what I'm going to do. Just going to work my way left to right. And finish these areas. A lot of times people have these coffee machines now. There's nothing wrong with just giving them a quick wipe down. They often have these reservoirs that you might want to clean. Things get caught up in there. As you can see, there's some coffee in there. Fold this great is it looks clean. What's great about this? This looks clean if you just were to look at it. But I'm noticing as I'm cleaning, I am feeling something on the counter. Well, guess what? That's sugar. So you can't see it, but you can feel it. It's little bumps there. That's why you always want to make sure you're touching as you're going. So I'm just going to use a little bit of what they call elbow grease. Not a lot. And I don't feel it anymore. It's all gone. So you want to make sure you touch. I'm going to dry it off. Remember, we already got all this. Make sure we get all that. In cases like this, if they have something out, why not just give it a little wipe? It just looks good to have all that clean. You don't ever want to throw anything away. I'm going to go ahead and grab the product that was over here. Now this is full, but you may, if this was a little open, you could technically take all that out and clean it, but it's pretty clean. I already looked at it. And then here we have a coffee pot. I'm going to take this and pick it up. I'm going to clean underneath it. And I don't feel anything here. A little bit. At this point, I'm going to rinse off my pot. Go ahead and just give this a quick little rinse. Pick that up, wipe it out. I'm going to take my polishing cloth, wipe it all off. Give it a nice little shine. Put that back. That back. And I'm going to keep working my way left to right. I'm going to do the same thing with this counter as I did over here. And as you see the final, that counter, those cabinets are clean. And then I'm going to work my way. I'm going to clean this, and then we're going to come back and do the bottom. Okay, so we've done top to bottom, left to right. So all the top cabinets are done. The counter tops are done. On the other side of the stove is done. We have not done the microwave and the stove yet, but we will get to that last. So remember, we don't want to forget anything, so now we want to do bottom. So we're going to do a little bit of spray, and we're going to get the bottom of the cabinets. And you're just going to wipe. Once again, always looking, feeling for when those areas of special need that might have oils. Same with the microwave. Now with the microwave, you're going to want to do a little bit of extra. Make sure you pull it out. Get this area. I even like to get this area in here. Why not? You're already here. Let's just do it. These magnets don't really move. So if you have a case like that where they can, then don't worry about it. And I'm just going to wipe this all up. I'm going to flip over here and make sure I get my handle. And then at this point, especially if it's stainless steel, I'm still going to want to polish this off. Just to give it that little bit of extra something. Plus it helps if you've missed any spots, it'll get those. And I'm just going to be working my way. As you see, there's some coffee stains. Certain cabinets will have more debris or food or residue than others, just because they're used more. They're in the area where cooking is done more. I would say in a home, these cabinets right here might have more oils on them because they're next to the stove. And then just getting this last bit here. That will only leave us with the microwave, the stove, and the floors. We're going to finish up with the microwave and the stove, and the final part will be the sink. But just like anywhere else in the house, whether it's the bathroom or the kitchen, as you remove things, you keep them in order. It just helps you keeping things memorized. So what you're going to want to do first is to remove these off of the eye. I like to do this. You can put them in the sink. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. Makes it much easier. These will be very oily, so we're just going to use a little bit of soap to get all that oil off. This person has a pan on the stove. We're gonna wanna make sure that pan gets back to the stove just like it is. So we're gonna put all of these in the sink. Now here's where I like to keep it in order. I'm gonna pick these up in the order of how they go. This isn't going to be an issue because these all look the same size, but in some instances they aren't. Also, mostly on stoves, these little things pop off here. So I'm going to pop those off. Keep them in order. And there we've dismantled our stove. Also, in some instances, these will come up. But I'm going to leave these on for right now, and as I clean, I will take those off. But remember, we always go top to bottom. So what we're going to want to do is come here to the microwave. We're going to want to remove this. Be careful when you remove this because it can break. So we're going to want to take this over here. We're going to want to clean that in the sink. Use a little bit of our spray. I like to let it sit. I like to let products do the work. So I'm going to go ahead and close that off. I'm going to come back to my sink. And I'm going to clean my tray with just a little bit of organic soap. So I'm going to clean and wash off my tray. Once again, using my hands to feel for any debris that I don't see. I'm going to set that to the side. This can get a little dirty too, so you want to go ahead and wipe that off. Since I'm already here in the sink, I'm going to go ahead and soak off all of my grapes, getting in here and cleaning those all off and setting them aside as I finish them. These don't have to be very bad. And then I'm just going to rinse them off. If they have this, you can even take this and use it as a little bit of rinse. And I'm going to put them back in the sink so they can dry here. Go ahead and turn on my water. And I'm going to take this dry cloth now. And I'm going to dry this off. Aside. Come back to my microwave. You're always going to want to look for hidden areas of grease, and a great place it likes to hide is up here. They're not going to see it, but you're going to feel it. You're going to feel the oils. If the product that you're using is not working, really just a little bit of soap will cut that grease. Then I'm going to want to run my fingers back over it. Sometimes you even might have to open it. Some things might be hidden in there. I didn't really feel anything. So I'm going to fold over my cloth and I'm going to work towards the front. Getting all areas. Go to the back. Getting in these creases. Fold over. What you can do is just take your fingers, put them like that to help you get into those areas that are tiny. You can always look to see if there's anything. If you still feel like there's some, just fold it over and go back over it again. You know, the homeowner may not always see this, but you still want to get areas that they can't typically get. It's important that we get those areas that are hard to reach or the homeowner may not be thinking about. I'm going to fold over my cloth. I'm going to want to make sure I get up here. Wipe this all down. I'm going to make sure I get here. And what about under here, right? Especially when you're cooking, things can splash up like this. So then I'm going to take my polishing cloth, just run over everything, give it a quick polish, making sure I got everything. Then I'm going to want to put it back together. once, look over, make sure I've gotten everything. Just give, doesn't take long, just give it a quick glance. Now I can work on the outside. Go over this once again. Getting around the handle. See, I feel things in there. You can tell that's where some dirt is. It feels like food. And I'm gonna wanna polish it. And double check and feel here. You're gonna wanna look under here too, because this is part of the microwave. You're gonna wanna make sure you get all under here. Give it a quick little wipe there. And polish it off. And I'm feeling everywhere on this microwave, and I don't feel any oils. Okay, so now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take these out of the sink now. And you may want to take a cloth, especially if it's sensitive countertops. Go ahead and put something under that as it dries, or so you're not doing any damage to it, to the counter. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse this off. And in these instances, soap is really going to be your best friend. So I'm going to get this somewhat wet. I'm going to put a little bit of soap, just a little bit, goes a long way. And once again, I'm going to work top to bottom. So at this point, I'm just getting everything really wet. I'm not worried about anything else. I'm just trying to cut all that grease. Just to do the initial cleaning. Then I'm going to come back over here. Now I'm going to let that sit for a minute. I'm going to rinse this off. Get rid of a lot of the soap. And while that's just sitting, letting the water in the product do that, I'm going to wash off our little handles here, making sure I get in there where the oils like to sit. And I'm going to do the same with these little plates. I'm going to give them just a quick wipe. And then at this point, I'm going to come back over now, and this, all the water has been squeezed out of it, so it's somewhat dry. I'm going to wipe it up. Shake it out, flip it around, making sure I'm getting all in here. This is especially where you want to make sure you get, because the oils like to be in these little crevices. I'm going to lift these up individually and wipe under them. Then I'm going to go over it with my polishing cloth. And this is the point too where I can really start to feel if I've left, if there's been any oils left. You can see it, you can feel it. Now in some instances, this stove doesn't get used quite a bit. But let's say you have some caked on food, you can gently use your razor like you did in the bathroom, and at this angle you can slide to lift up that food. These are really good on electric stove tops. I'm going to put these back on there. Wipe these off to make sure I got all the oils and put them back on, and you'll see they fit right on there. I'm gonna open up my oven. I'm gonna get this area here, making sure I get my handles. Right now I'm just kind of getting a cursory, making sure that we've gotten, open that there. Now I'm gonna fold my cloth back over and I'm gonna wipe it out. And I'm gonna take my polishing cloth. I don't feel any oils. Feels clean, it looks clean. Come over here. Just give them a quick dry. Put my stove back together. It's a good time also to feel for any oils. Sometimes it won't come up. Sometimes if the stove is used quite a bit and it's older, you won't be able to get everything off of there. Remember, this pot was here. Just stand back and give yourself a look. Looks pretty clean to me. And we're done. The very last thing you'll want to do is your kitchen sink. Quite often dishes will be left in the sink, so you have to make a determination. If the dishwasher's dirty, why don't go ahead and just load them. But let's say the dishwasher's clean and you can't load them. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and take whatever is in their sink out, neatly stack it. Just like you do everywhere else, you want to remove everything off. Trying to keep in the order similar to how the sink is represented when you went there. So we're going to go ahead and get everything wet. Here's where I like to use the magic eraser because it can get into small areas. You can put a little bit of soap on it. Also, these are great with stainless steel. These are great with all sinks. So what we're going to want to do is work, well, you're going to want to work left to right, top to bottom. Remember, you're going to want to get under here, in those areas that we don't see when the water's not running. Now, it's important in the sink to get around these crevices here, and you want to go down in here, and there's a little ridge there. You want to make sure you get that little ridge, especially if it's a look at that. See? Especially if it's a garbage disposal sink. So same thing here. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to scrub my whole sink. Same thing. You're always going to want to be touching. Make sure you get around these ridges, and especially in here. Just get down in there. Okay. I don't feel anything. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to go ahead and use this little piece here to rinse off a lot of it. And then I'm going to use my blue cloth. Now that we've done the initial clean is what I would like to call it, I'm going to rinse off my cloth, and I'm going to make sure that I'm getting those areas that can be hard to get. So I'm going to take my cloth and fold it over, and I'm going to wedge myself in here because I can tell that there's a little space back here, and I want to make sure I get in there. See, there was some stuff in there. Want to do the same thing behind where the faucet is, making sure I'm getting all of that. I'm going to lift this up one more time, making sure I'm getting all under there and in the back. Even with this little thing here, you want to make sure you get. And I'm kind of doing that thing again with I'm just taking your hand and you're just wrapping it around. And that helps you with wiping it. Then make sure that I get inside here. And inside here. These are forgotten quite often. Just give them a little rinse. Make sure you clean those out. Make sure you get under here. Listen, the first time that you do that, it can be pretty gross. Pretty dirty. But, you know, they use these in their sinks, so you want to make sure you have those. Gonna just set this cloth aside. Go ahead and use my polishing cloth. Making sure that I get anything. One more time, I'm going to lift that up and get under there. Making sure I get underneath. Put these back. And at this point, I'm really just polishing the sink. The sink is clean. You also want to just wipe off anything that you're putting back, even if it's a soap bottle. This is a hand washing, making sure it's all clean. Now remember, they had dishes in their sink, so we're just going to neatly put those back in. This is the cloth that they had. Put it back where it was. And now we're going to remove all the things that we've used and do one final wipe down of this area. And you can use your polishing cloth for that.